Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the nerd news show that looks at all sorts of nerdy things that have happened in the news in the past week. Brought to you by us, the folks at Nerd Caliber. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, first person shooter as a cosplay photographer on Facebook, Burley underscore adopter on Twitter, a couple of other places. And I can see my mic is set a little too hot. I'm peaking, and we'll bring that back down. Joining me tonight is Byron. Please introduce yourself, Music Man.
Hello, various netizens. Byron McNeil, aka Byron D0, at your service. Contributing writer, uh, social media, sometimes video content creator, sometimes an artist, sometimes cosplayer. When that was a thing. Um, I'm glad to be. Yeah, knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
I'm glad to be here. Um, yeah, I do a lot of cool art that I've been posting on my Instagram, which is BD0art, all one word, spelled just like it sounds.
At BD0art. Zero spelled out or the numeral.
Spelled out.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. So, folks, before we get into the chat, well first off, hello to people in the chat. Maria Clara, hello. Ada Mations, hello. Takira Rodriguez, hello. Ivysaur Plays, hello. Tanito, hello. I think that's it on the YouTubes. Do a quick look over, see if we got anybody on the Twitches or the Facebook Lives. Nobody yet. Before we get into the topics, and boy, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about. This is going to be a big roster. I'm actually kind of relieved that it's just me and Byron. Otherwise, we'd be here forever.
Here all night.
Exactly, we'd be here all night. What I'm going to do is promo our Thursday show, Full Fat Spoiler Chat. This is our show where we look at WandaVision. So next Thursday, 8 o'clock. If you've seen WandaVision, or if you haven't but you don't mind spoilers, feel free to tune in. Same thing, it'll be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, just like our live shows are. And we're going to get in-depth into particularly the finale, but the whole season, what it meant, what the story was all about, what they did right, what they did wrong, themes, tone, message, all of that sort of stuff. So check us out. Fan service. Well, yeah, lots of fan service.
Yes.
Possibly to a fault, but we'll look at that then. Gordon C., welcome to the show. William Afton, welcome to the show. So, our first topic in this busy. So that, of course, is a scene from Justice League. I don't know if that particular scene is going to be in the Snyder Cut. That might have been one of the Joss Whedon scenes, so it won't make it. But this isn't really about waiting until March 18th to be able to see it. This is about the fact that on Monday, if you were one of the people who decided to watch Tom and Jerry for a certain period during the day, you actually got a chance to see as much as a full hour of the Snyder Cut, because somebody done goofed. It was a let's see. Zack Snyder's Justice League was temporarily available on HBO Max, and the error was addressed within minutes, according to the HBO Max statement. According to people who were actually tracking it, it was as much as an entire hour's worth of the 4-hour movie. Takira Rodriguez, I love Wonder Woman, as do we all, which is why I was kind of sad about Wonder Woman 1984, but oh well. So that's just it. That's a news item. Oops. It's not going to affect the fact that it's coming out on March 18th. As far as I know, nobody actually recorded that first hour and posted it up because I haven't seen it anywhere. And HBO Max and Warner Brothers would come down on them like a, ton of bricks if they did anyway. So.
Oh God.
So. There you go. Just, another a wonderful, fun thing in the exciting up and down story of Zack Snyder and Justice League. All right.
Free publicity for the Snyder Cut as well.
Oh, free publicity, absolutely, because it made like news, like regular news, as opposed to just promotional stuff. moving on to our next topic in this incredibly busy night of news here, and that, folks, is of course Bruce Campbell from the Ash versus the Evil Dead series that was recently on. The news is we talked about the fact that Campbell is producing the Evil Dead 4, which now has a title Evil Dead Rise, which is new. There's a couple other pieces of new news here that he put out in an interview with Knox News. They're going to start filming in New Zealand later this year. It's set in a modern day setting with a new female protagonist that is troubled by, affected by, however you want to put it, the Necronomicon, the book. So not in a cabin, not in the woods. It's a modern urban setting. And that one of the things that we speculated when we first covered the news that he was producing this back in October was whether or not he would be involved in any sort of acting capacity. This makes it pretty clear that he's not. It's a female lead that's going to be dealing with the Necronomicon this time around, and reading around what he's saying, it seems pretty clear that there's not a role in here for Ash.
Well, he did say he was retiring from the role, right?
Yes, he did. In fact, I think he said that actually before Ash versus the Evil Dead, but then he said it again after Ash versus the Evil Dead. So, and I think it's going to stick. I think he really means it this time. So, might he have a cameo? Sure, and it would be great if he did. But starting filming this later on this year, so we're looking at maybe a 2022 release. I would think so. Can't imagine this is going to take an awful lot of time to film. So
I'm wondering what direction they're going to go with it, though. Like, are they going to stick to the comedic side, or are they going to go straight horror again, like they did with the remake?
It's always been comedic. Every single bit of it's been comedic. How much they lean into the horror as opposed to the comedy is a question. But Bruce Campbell is producing this. It's gonna be funny. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna leave the comedy on the floor. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, but it would fly in the face of like what the fans love about it.
Exactly. All right, moving on to our next topic, and this one is pretty awesome, folks. We finally get to see our first look at the new Netflix anime series Yasuke. That's what's popped up on your screen there. It is, in case you don't know the story, an anime based on an African samurai who served under Oda Nobunaga, and it's based on a real story. Yasuke was a real person. And it was an African, a black samurai. It's a wicked cool concept, a wicked cool story. The images look great that we've seen so far. The studio is MAPPA, so Jujutsu Kaisen. Yes, chef's kiss on that one, 100%. The director and animator and character designer is Takeshi Koike, Lupin III, the woman called Fujiko Mine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love the direction of that show.
Yeah, it is. So I'm not a huge fan of the Lupin series. That one I liked a lot. And again, part of it was the direction, part of it was the character design, a lot of it was the writing. Leaning on Fujiko's character while still having an awful lot of comedy, as opposed to sort of a slapstick comedy, which is what it usually is. That was more enjoyable for me. But this is also the thing that's really selling this. Lakeith Stanfield is the voice of Yasuke. Yes. Yes. Lemonade Cow, only 6 of us. Okay. You must be referring to chatters or concurrent viewers. That number goes up and down.
I was just reminded of a post on Twitter that I saw earlier tonight, where someone was complaining about how they pulled the "I'm not racist" card and saying like, I'm not racist, but I watch anime to escape politics, and then there was a link to the article about Yasuke, and I'm just like,
So
Google is your friend.
politics because they're doing a story about an actual, real, living person. Wow, boy, you're right. That person was not racist, except they were.
Mm-hmm.
Waifu Pennywise, welcome to the show. All right, well, let's continue talking about black topics. And that right there is an image from the very first cover of the book Kindred by the absolutely legendary science fiction author Octavia Butler. And the news is that FX has ordered a pilot for a potential series based on the book Kindred. The people involved on this, so the writer is Brandon Jacobs Jenkins, who was a writer on Watchmen, and like Butler, was a MacArthur Genius Grant Award winner. Producing it are Courtney Lee Mitchell from something called The Reluctant Fundamentalist. I don't know that. Joe Weisberg from The Americans, famous FX show. Joel Fields from Fosse Verdon, also an FX show. And Darren freaking Aronofsky. Darren Aronofsky, the wrestler, Black Swan, Pi, all of that is going to be one of the producers of this series.
That's mighty. Awesome.
Yeah. Waifu, wow, I like the image. Yeah, the image captures pretty much what the story is about. I don't want to give away too much, and I think this kind of does, but it's a story of a black female writer who sort of escapes a controlling family, not escapes, but finally, becomes independent from a controlling family, moves out to the West Coast, and then finds herself shuttling somehow through time back and forth to the time when her ancestors were slaves. And discovers an awful lot about herself, her family, her family's history, and some very, very complicated social and genealogical things that she didn't know. So it's sort of a time travel science fiction story, but very, very much of the time and very socially aware. I'm really looking forward to this. I think, I think it says in here that this is planned for a 2023 launch. I'm going to throw that out there.
What platform is going to be on?
FX.
Oh, cool.
So the people that brought you Legion and so many other amazing, wonderful series, really pushing the borders. So yeah.
I'm like you had me at Fosse Verdon, honestly.
Fosse Verdon, I still have to go back and watch it. I haven't seen it. The cast is amazing. Everything about it is. Tequila Rodriguez, unfortunately I cannot stay, but it's nice to be here for a little. Good night, everyone, and stay safe and healthy. Same to you. Stay safe, please, and healthy. We get to that call at the end when we tell everybody, please continue to do the mask thing and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to other adaptations. That's an image from one of the many books, the publications of the George R.R. Martin novelette Sand Kings, and this is going to be turned into a movie by Gore Verbinski. First couple of, I guess all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I can't remember which one. Anyway. Gore Verbinski, pretty well known. Sand Kings is the only thing that George R.R. Martin wrote that won Hugo and Nebula Awards. And he started out, everybody knows him for Game of Thrones, he started out as a science fiction writer. Almost all of his first collection of short stories and his first few novels were science fiction novels. And this is, his biggest...
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. This is his most well-known science fiction story, and it's very sort of science fiction horror, which is kind of his thing. He did a lot of that back in the day, both science fiction horror and sort of science fiction adventure sort of stuff. So very interesting story. It'll be a good. One of our regular contributors, Greg, posted this up as a complaint about when's he going to finish the darn book. As far as I know, he's got no involvement of this. There's no statement that he's writing it or he's involved in any way other than selling the rights to make another movie out of it. It was adapted into a 1-hour Outer Limits special back when they rebooted the Outer Limits in the 1990s, and that kind of sucked. It wasn't a really good adaptation. Natalia, welcome to the show. And what are they talking about? We are talking about nerd news that broke over the past week. This particular topic is about Gore Verbinski, the director, making an adaptation of George R.R. Martin's novelette Sand Kings, for which Martin won the 2 top science fiction prizes, the Hugo and the Nebula Award. And we're about to move into our next topic. That is, of course, a scene from the amazing District 9, Neil Blomkamp, set in South Africa, wonderful, fantastic science fiction movie. And this is just a little bit of news that popped out here, but Blomkamp put out on Twitter that he, Charlton Copley, who is the immigration officer shown there, the human, who is apparently his writing partner, and also co-wrote District 9, and their writing partner, Terry Tatchell, are working on the screenplay for District 10, the sequel to District 9. And I can't wait. It's been, 12 years since the first book, or first movie. And I really want to see this. I really want to see where he goes with this. So, please write fast, and then get somebody to help you make the movie. Pardon me. Needed that drink. 41 Brother, welcome to the show. What did I miss? I think I'm going to have to wait. Well, not a whole lot. So, made fun of the Justice League Snyder Cut leak on HBO. Talked about a little bit more news about Evil Dead Rise, Evil Dead 4 that Bruce Campbell is producing. Talked a little bit about the Yasuke anime, the actual real-life story of an African samurai working under Oda Nobunaga. Talked about Octavia Butler's book Kindred being turned into a pilot for a potential series on FX. George R.R. Martin's novelette Sand Kings being turned into a movie by Gore Verbinski. And now we're on to the District 10. We're about to step away from the District 10. Neil Blomkamp and Charlton Copley and Terry Tatchell, who are all the 3 writing partners for District 9, are working on the screenplay for District 10 as we speak. Luminous, welcome to the show. Mr. Krakowian, welcome to the show. All right, moving on to our next topic. And jumping back to anime, that is a cosplayer, the cosplayer Estelle, cosplaying Hakane Miku. I think that was Granite Con 2018. The news is that the holding company, the media company, Krypton Future Media, is what creates and owns Miku and the other Vocaloids, is developing an animated series based on Miku with a company called Graphic India and Carlin West Agency, which I'm not sure what any of those are, except Graphic India seems to be the animation studio. I don't really know a whole lot about the Vocaloids, other than the fact that they're, sort of AI singers. So what do we think about, what do we think this anime could be about?
I'm basically reminded of this old Sprite commercial where it was a spoof on the Godzilla movie, where they had like the people in the boardroom just doing all the promotional stuff and then piecing it together. They're like, "Oh, we can get a script drummed out by Sunday."
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. It could be, Miku's backstory, rise to fame. Who knows what it could be.
I don't expect anything groundbreaking though.
No, I can't imagine either. They are launching a bunch of webtoons and comics that will also coincide with and I guess work along with the story of the anime. So
it'll probably just be more idle schlock.
well, that certainly could be. There's enough character development there for the various Vocaloid characters that they certainly could mine that and turn it into something of interest, but it also could, like you said, just literally be, the next Love Live knockoff. So, now speaking of other development news, and that is pretty much just what this is. That's a picture of a cosplayer cosplaying as Vampirella. That was, I think, MegaCon 2013.
Oh, yes.
The news is Dynamite Entertainment, which currently holds the rights to Vampirella, has sold the film, television, and streaming rights to something called Mike the Pike Productions and its subsidiary Arowana Media Holdings.
Interesting.
So the assumption from that is that there's going to be another Vampirella movie or show or anime or whatever.
There was the first one?
Yeah, they made a movie in 1996. Talisa Soto was the actress playing.
Oh, I vaguely remember hearing that.
Yeah, it was pretty schlock. Oh, we lost your mic. Byron, we lost your mic again. So keep fiddling with the mic. Get it back. So... or apparently you have to just wait for it to come back, which, yeah. I'll let you know if I hear any of the sound around you, so...
Yeah.
There you go. There you're back.
Yeah, I was just saying she was hot off the heels of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, right around that time. Yep. But the thing is, this is an intellectual property holding company. So at best, what they're going to do is they're going to take this IP and then sub-license it to somebody who wants to actually make a movie or a show or something. So all this is basically Dynamite has sold the rights so that somebody may someday make something. 41 Brother, also What Happened to Districts 1 through 8. I bet there's lore about that, and I don't know. It's a good question. It might have even been mentioned in the movie. It's been so long since I've seen it that I don't remember. All right, so moving on to our next topic. That is one of the new card designs for the upcoming Black is Magic series in Magic the Gathering cards, which is part of what they call their Secret Lair line. And apparently what these are, the Secret Lairs are time-limited cards that will only be available as a series of print-on-demand, so however many people want them and order them, that's exactly the amount that will be done. But this Black is Magic is one of the ways that Wizards of the Coast is dealing with all the accusations that came about over the course of the last few years, certainly since the Black Lives Matter protests sprang up again in this past summer. That a lot of their content was pretty racist. So they've pulled cards that were racist. They've changed some of the D&D books, because Wizards of the Coast also publishes D&D, to eliminate a lot of the stereotypical, certain types of savage people are always evil alignment sort of stuff. And in this case, what they're doing is this Black is Magic line is all sort of influenced by African legend and African themes. The character in this shot here is a legendary planeswalker called Kaya the Ghost Assassin. And it highlights in some other images Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, also a planeswalker. That some of the card effects, like a sorcery card called Ponder, the artwork is very much, from the look of it, West African. Something called the Sol Ring, very much Bantu inspired. So good on them for doing this. Yeah.
It definitely, like, I love the aesthetic, and I'm totally here for it.
Yep. Yeah, some of this design, I mean, an awful lot of the stuff from Magic the Gathering obviously is beautiful design work and artwork. They know what they're doing. But a lot of this specifically is really innovative. You know, it's nice to see something outside the typical Western culture or Western European culture or Asian culture. And don't get me wrong, I love both, but that's kind of the total inspiration for where they're designed, and you know, Middle Eastern to some extent.
Yeah, it's there are plenty of other types of lore that they can branch out towards, and it's good to see some variety for a change.
Yep.
I would love to see them venture into various aspects of the Latinx community, like Mayan folklore.
Yep.
Or whatnot.
Yep. Or other natives. You know, Inuit, Aleut, Ainu in Japan. You know, all kinds of stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. I knew.
Yep. Oh, good, you're back. So your video locked up there for a second, Byron, but you know we could hear you. Oof. All right, moving on to our next topic. That is one of the usually very typically busy panels from the French comic strip series Asterix. And the news is Netflix has greenlit the first ever animated series based on Asterix. It's a limited series based on specifically the book Asterix and the Big Fight. If you don't know anything about Asterix, Asterix is a sort of anachronistic historical comedy French comic strip and comic books when they're all assembled in a book that is set during basically Caesar's conquest of Gaul. So it's the story of Asterix, a Gaulish chieftain who is fighting against the Romans, who are generally portrayed as kind of bumbling idiots. And it's very funny stuff. It translates well. Asterix it ran here in the United States in some comic strips or in some like Sunday newspapers. I'm going to say sometime in the 80s and 90s. And it was fun. I really liked it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm fairly familiar with Asterix, more from video games though.
They do have video games. That is true. Yep.
And I know that the Asterix franchise is a lot it's comparative to like the popularity of Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
Where it's just, or Lupin the Third in Japan, where it just has that massive staying power.
Yep. So this will be a 3D animated series, so therefore I guess it will actually look more like the games. It'll be made in France, streamed to Netflix around the world in 2023. And the playwright Alain Chabat will be writing it, and he wrote and directed the most popular, according to this thing, animated movie. There's been a bunch of animated movies. They've never had a series. Back in 2002, Mission Cleopatra. Call it that. Third highest grossing feature film in French history, no less. So, yeah, you're right. They love their Asterix.
Yes, they do.
All right, moving on to our next topic.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah. Well, apparently you can watch it now, because I've seen, when I did some screen grabs for it, it's apparently out there, and I've seen some reactions to it. That is Lupita Nyong'o, who is working with the animated character across from her, Super Sema. It is an African kids superhero animated series that's debuting on YouTube as part of the YouTube Originals. It's made by a Nairobi company, media and tech startup called Kukua, which Nyong'o is an investor in. And she will be a voice of a character on the series, but obviously not Sema, who is a child. But Super Sema follows the adventures of the titular, extraordinary young African girl Sema, who lives in the neo-African futuristic community of Dunia. Looks really cool. Had I known before I started pulling the images together for this earlier in the day that it was already available to see like the first episode or two, I would have watched it before the show. All right, moving on. Did I miss you, Byron, or are you not? Oh, you're there. Okay.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our next topic. So from the animated to the one time used to be animated. Uh-oh, where are they? Too many topics. I did not get an image up for this. Yes. I'm sorry. All right, so the story is...
Girls.
Yes, they have cast the actresses that will be the leads in the upcoming live-action Powerpuff Girls series on CW. They are Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Dove Cameron from the Disney show Descendants, and Yana Perrault, a stage actress from the Alanis Morissette musical Jagged Little Pill. And they are, of course, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup in order of name.
Okay.
Kind of cool that Yana Perrault is black. You know, a person of color.
It has me excited for the backlash. Buttercup isn't black.
Yeah, you're gonna get some of that. That's for sure. I think you're gonna get more backlash. I mean, I already see from a lot of people who are Powerpuff Girls fans that they just are not interested in this in the least. Because it's live, you know, because it's Diablo Cody is one of the writers and producers. And she is apparently a pretty polarizing character. You either like her sort of edgy, weirdo kind of humor, or you don't.
So it could be an entertaining series.
Could be an entertaining series. It could be, you know, Riverdale with Utonian powers. Yeah, so... And in fact, the description is that it's kind of Riverdale-esque, although it is a comedy. You know, so, and the reason these actresses are cast for it is that the girls are all grown up and dealing with, as I say, now they're disillusioned 20-somethings who resent having lost their childhood to crime fighting. So, yeah. You're either going to like that or you ain't, and I'll give it a try. One thing I am going to like, and I love this casting, they just announced that Indira Varma, who is on your screen right there as Ilaria Sand from Game of Thrones, has been cast as an unnamed character in the upcoming Obi-Wan series. I haven't seen a lot of speculation about who this could be. They're very tight-lipped about it. But I love Indira Varma in everything I've ever seen her in. Rome, Human Target, you know, obviously Game of Thrones. So I'm 100% in on this one. Apparently Carnival Row. I'd never finished the series, so I have to go back and watch it.
I need to start it.
It's actually pretty good for what it does. It's a little slow. It's a lot slow at times. And the chemistry between Cara Delevingne and Orlando Bloom is hit or miss. Sometimes they do it, you know, sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't. And that's a big problem when that's sort of the core of the show, is these two star-crossed lovers. All right, moving on to our next topic, and that is casting news for the live-action Disney version of Pinocchio. Yes, a year ago or more, we did the whole list of what they were doing as far as their properties as live-action. Pinocchio is on it, as is, if you can think of a Disney animated show, they're doing it. And I kind of have, you know, Byron's reaction. You know, nice cringe face. before your video stopped there, Byron. Except this cast. So we've got Cynthia Erivo is going to be the Blue Fairy. We already know Tom Hanks is Geppetto. Keegan-Michael Key is Honest John. Benjamin Evan Ainsworth from the very popular Netflix thing, Flora and Ulysses, is going to be Pinocchio, who is going to be obviously not live action. Lorraine Bracco is a new character called Sophia the Seagull, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to be Jiminy Cricket, live action Jiminy Cricket.
Ooh.
So I like the cast, I gotta say. You know, they could still bone this hard. But from a casting standpoint, they're doing a good job. And let me get to my next category here. Gosh, there's so much stuff. It's tough for me to actually find the link.
Right.
This this was... I had to put this one in here just for Byron. Surprising literally everyone, on Saturday, Crunchyroll put out the announcement that there's going to be a Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2. Shocking. Really surprising. This was going back to 2013, folks. Now, they've done it. They did it with Origairu. That was only a 5-year gap between the second season and this last fall season. They wrapped up their third season and the final season for the whole show. But Devil is a Part-Timer is hugely popular. Was hugely popular.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. It never grabbed. I saw it. I watched the whole thing because so many people kept telling me that I had to. And it was okay.
Story. It was a charming story.
Yeah. It was charming. It was funny, which is what it was supposed to be. It's a comedy, and it's a pretty good one. In some of the aspects of it, it seems like it was hitting a lot of stuff that I had seen since then. So it was, to me, kind of a retread, even though going back to 2013, it was like one of the first things of its type, a reverse isekai. The big devil, demon lord, bad guy screws up so badly that he winds up stuck on Earth as a human, has to get a job, winds up working as a part-timer at basically McDonald's. And it's pretty funny. So I'm looking forward to it. The little teaser that they put out is basically just a sort of look at the new character designs. The visuals are pretty different. Not drastically so, but very much modern of this era than, trying to recreate the 2013 look, which a lot of shows that have done a follow-up for older shows have done. They try to recreate that, original show's look. In here, that's not quite the case. Trying to figure out when. Does it give us any indication here in the article as to when it's going to happen? It doesn't say. But I am looking forward to it. See whether or not they actually upscale the writing and make it, better than I thought it was originally. Speaking of casting, I'm really excited for this and also a little worried. That's, of course, Hugh Grant and Sophia Lillis. Sorry. And the news is that they have been cast in the upcoming Dungeons & Dragons movie. Hugh Grant will be playing the villain. We don't know what character Lillis is going to be playing. But they joined Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, and we talked about this 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. Bridgerton star Regé-Jean Page is also going to be in it. So here's my concern. The D&D movie that I always post the pictures up from with Jeremy Irons and Thora Birch. So Hugh Grant and Sophia Lillis are maybe the kind of Jeremy Irons and Thora Birch of this generation. And whereas Regé-Jean Page is definitely not Marlon Wayans, Marlon Wayans was a black actor that was in the last Dungeons and Dragons, and Chris Pine is way more than anybody else was in that earlier series or earlier movie. But it's still kind of falling down into that, okay, here's the, teenage actress, and then here's the, well-respected British actor being the villain, and, we've got the black guy, and I'm worried.
Understandably so.
Because we don't know anything else about the plot or story or hardly anything about it. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly are directing and writing. And
what have
that's,
they done?
I know this came up when when we first talked about them getting it, and I can't remember. I have I don't have IMDb up anymore. I closed it out. So, see if it says down at the bottom here. That's Grant. Nope. It doesn't say what they've done. So yeah, I hope that this turns out to be finally a good movie adaptation of something involving Dungeons and Dragons, but who knows?
Get my hopes up.
Yeah. Not gonna run out to the Robinhood app and invest money in Wizards of the Coast and Paramount right now. So
that's smart.
All right. So now that is Bill Burr and Gina Carano behind him. So the news is that Bill Burr had some commentary about what happened to Gina Carano. Comic Book Resources had this headline.
Unsolicited commentary.
No, it's solicited because it was on an interview show. He was on the Bill Burr podcast, and they were asking him about it. They say Bill Burr defends Gina Carano, slams cancel culture, and one half of that sentence is technically accurate. Greg, welcome to the show. Hope you're feeling better. So I don't think it's accurate to say that he defended Carano. What he said is he made comments about how his experience with her personally was. And said she was an absolute sweetheart, super nice effing person. Didn't once say anything about specifically her comments and whether they were right or wrong. What he did say is that, I'm on that effing show, now I gotta watch what the F I say. And that to me is the biggest problem in here. It's like, well, guess what, Bill? That's called we live in a society.
Yes. It's like, oh no, I have to be accountable for my actions.
And guess what, Bill? You work for an employer. In addition to having to watch what you say in a society, boy, do you have to watch what you say in an employment situation. So now I got to watch what the F I say. Yeah, you should have been doing that all along. And that's my biggest concern with this, is that implies that, well, it is, kind of. He's never been in an employment situation where that's been a concern. His job has always been to say whatever the F he wants as a comedian. So, welcome to the real goddamn world, Bill.
Damn world. Yeah, I don't feel bad. I don't feel anything for him, honestly. This is what the rest of us have to do. Deal with it.
I like the character. I like what they've done with the character, making a former Imperial somebody who is not necessarily sympathetic, but an understandable character, and and to some extent humanizing the people within the Empire, even if the Empire is still evil and rotten. And I think that's a smart call. I think that good writing on their part. But they could do that with any Imperial character, and it doesn't need to be Miggs Mayfeld, much as I love hearing that Boston accent, in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes.
So, if he doesn't want to be on it, I'm fine with that. If he says something stupid and gets booted, I'm fine with that too. If he learns what being in a real work environment is all about and keeps his mouth shut about things that don't matter to his work environment, then, hey, I'm happy with having him continue.
Yeah, it's no skin off my nose.
Yeah, it's. So, kind of a slam for CBR for the headline, because they were
clickbait.
Yeah, it was clickbait. Yeah, they were just like, oh my God, what did he say now? Oh, that's what he said. Oh, well, that's kind of just stupid, but no, okay. All right, moving on to something that could be just stupid. This is a scene from the upcoming movie Thunder Force. Trailer just dropped. It's a Netflix movie. Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer play two 40-something women who have superpowers, and because they're in their 40s and are not typically kitted out like you would think a superhero is in the comic books or in the MCU or wherever, the movie is a comedy that looks at an awful lot of the tropes that we normally associate with, superheroes, and how chances are if real people got superpowers, that wouldn't be what would happen. It looks very funny. We've had some comment in our internal group that we hope that this isn't going to just turn out to be a big excuse for fat jokes, because they are both large, beautiful women.
Also, Melissa McCarthy's movies are.
Well, so they're what they call in this article on Vulture broad comedy. And the guy who's directed and who's written and directed this and has written and directed most of her movies is Ben Falcone, her husband. So obviously McCarthy has 100% buy-in to this stuff. And if you look at the trailer, it's mostly more about making fun of the tropes of superhero expectations. There is one blatantly, fat person joke. They have trouble getting it. They decide that their superhero car is something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or whatever it is, and they both have trouble getting out of it because it's so low to the ground. And as a fat person, in case you can't tell, I don't have any trouble with that in the fact that it's the one joke that they showed in the trailer in a bunch of jokes more about making fun of superhero tropes. But we'll have to see. April 9th is when this drops.
I'm okay with.
Yeah, if it's that way, if there's one or two fat jokes in a whole sea of jokes about how stupid costumes are, there's a joke about how because of the nature of the costume you can't wash them, and at one point a criminal grabs Melissa McCarthy and goes, "What is that?" And she's, "I'm sorry, we can't wash these things." To paraphrase lots of women, my 40-year-old superpower is being invisible. Yeah. That's Octavia Spencer's superpower. Greg, thank you for that comment. Melissa McCarthy's is super strength.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, let's see whether or not they get into that. The black, overweight, 40-year-old woman's superpower is being invisible. If they don't at least touch on the irony of that, then, it instantly goes into this is a bad movie bin.
It's, just another wasted opportunity from Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, for me, that's just like on our last Full Fat Spoiler Chat, we talked about Outside the Wire, and this isn't giving away anything. This isn't spoilery. But at one point, Anthony Mackie's android character, Captain Leo, says that, he is a sentient AI. He's a thinking, emotive being who can make decisions on his own, but also has programming that he can't override. And as soon as I heard that, I said, well, the writer just completely, like Drax with a plane flying over his head, missed the motivation for this character. You've got in all appearance, a black character who is a sentient artificial intelligence that is essentially a slave. Can't rebel against its own programming. Even though it can think around its own programming. Even though it knows that sometimes that it shouldn't be doing it. And that isn't touched on, except for the mention of it, at all, except as a plot point later on. As far as motivation or the theme or anything
lazy about writing.
It is such lazy writing. Greg, maybe they get Edna Mode to make costumes. There are no capes in this particular shot.
No capes!
No capes! I am just looking forward to, if you've seen this trailer for Thunder Force, Jason Bateman plays maybe a villain, maybe a sidekick, it's not clear, a dude with giant crab claws for hands. And, Jason Bateman, given that kind of ridiculousness for a role, I mean, I anticipate Pepper's Gonna Need New Shorts kind of comedy. Because Bateman is perfect for that sort of stuff. Anyway, April 9th, Thunder Force, if you want to check it out, I'm going to watch it. Hopefully it'll be, funnier than stupid. And on to our last topic. That is cosplayers I shot back in 2012, I believe, at the very first Rhode Island Comic Con. Haru Vamp and Redustrial Maxi. Maxi as Ceres Victoria, the one in the orange. Characters from the anime Hellsing. And the news is that there is going to be a live-action feature film based on the Hellsing manga, not the anime. Not that there's a ton of difference, but inspired by the manga. Written by Derek Kolstad, the guy who wrote all 3 John Wick movies, and is a producer on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Weebs around the world went wild. You looking forward to this, Byron? Yeah, no? Or no? Or yeah?
Oh yeah, I'm here for it.
I think
it's exciting.
I think it's very exciting. I think the problem with this is that for any of you who haven't seen anything like this, I think, Greg, this is a reference back to Jason Bateman. He'd be awesome as a dumb boy sidekick a la Chris Hemsworth in the new Ghostbusters. I agree. Not as much of a pretty boy, but a dumb boy, sure. So the basic story, if you're not familiar with this, is that there's this vampire hunting organization in England called the Hellsing Organization, which is led by Integra Hellsing, the great-granddaughter of Abraham Van Helsing, and they recruit vampires to hunt vampires and other supernatural creatures. Their most effective special agent is Alucard, basically Dracula, like every...
Spelled backwards.
Exactly. And the character, Ceres Victoria, again, the one in the orange here, is a former policewoman who has been recruited as the newest recruit into the team. Fights with a really big gun. Like, not a 50 caliber. I think it's a 20 millimeter. Like an anti-aircraft gun. This series has to succeed or fail on who they cast as Alucard.
Absolutely.
Because Alucard is the, Ceres Victoria is kind of the, protagonist, the audience identification character, but Alucard is the main character of this series.
Yes.
And you could look at this because it's Kolstad and it's a John Wick series, and this isn't in the article at all. But obviously, Yazino, welcome to the show. Obviously, people are going to speculate that it's the John Wick series. Well, Keanu Reeves, tall, dark-haired, certainly can handle the action and the violence.
Doesn't exactly have the charisma, though.
Exactly. Or I've never
Don't
seen.
Say it. I thought you were going to say Johnny Depp.
Oh God, no. God, no. So one of the things about Alucard is he is tall and very slender. And I think that they kind of have to get that physical body type. No, what I was going to say is that I've never seen, even in his roles where he's done a very good job as a villain, and he has a few of those, I've never seen Keanu Reeves play anybody with the kind of absolute maniacal glee that Alucard has when he kills. Alucard is a vampire, and he loves killing people. Or vampires, or anything. And if they're going to keep that sense of what Alucard, or who Alucard is...
Tom Hiddleston.
Damn, son. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yes, I could see Tom Hiddleston as Alucard 100%. I was thinking maybe a little bit younger, but Hiddleston isn't that old. He's certainly younger than Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
All right, let's send that suggestion in to Kolstad and the people at Amazon Studios who are producing this. Tom Hiddleston as Alucard.
I will champion this cause.
I like it. You heard it here, folks. Not that there's any truth to this, but that's our pick. Tom Hiddleston as Alucard.
Yes.
Anyway, just announced it. There's no information here on when this is going to actually land on Amazon. So, we'll have to see. They haven't even talked about scripting, other than Kolstad's going to be writing it, or casting, other than we think it's going to be Tom Hiddleston. Yes, please, thank you.
It has to be. I won't accept anyone else.
Greg, how about a Two Fat Vampires comedy with Melissa and Octavia? No, yeah. Again, if they were making it as, making fun of the tropes of, horror and vampire fiction and movies, and they just happen to be, two overweight women, sure. But if it's, fat vampire jokes, that's no different than fat people jokes or fat superhero jokes, so. Yeah, I'm not, we'll have to see. It's all about the writing, Greg. Why don't you start that treatment? Make your pitch.
There you go.
Anyway, folks, that's it. With all of these topics, the fact that it was just me and Byron, we managed to get this done in an hour. How the heck did that happen?
Because we're awesome.
Because we're awesome. Folks, if you want to support us in all of the stuff we do, in the upcoming new live shows that we're working on right now to assemble and start producing for you, to cons, so we can get con content once again, please, when cons are allowed to happen again. And allowed in the sense that people want to go and not die. That's our Patreon.com. That's up on your Patreon.com/nerdcaliber. We only have 2 tiers, folks. It's super inexpensive. And so if you want to help us out, please go and do become a patron. We'd love to have you. Get your credit up on all of our videos that are up on YouTube, etc., etc. And we're going to go one more time back to this Thursday's show. WandaVision is our topic that we're going to spoil the bejeebus out of on Full Fat Spoiler Chat Thursday, 8 p.m. Be there if you don't mind spoilers, or if you've seen it and you want to. Greg, just a second. I'm going to jump out of here. Greg, no more skinny vampires. No more skinny and sparkly vampires. I'll buy that. 100%. So, yes. So, while this image is up there, Byron's been in the background doing his hex magic stuff. So, but yes, so please tune in, folks. If you have Twitch, we're trying to break a Twitch number. We've got like 45 subscribers. We'd love to get over 50. Love to have you subscribe. This show and Full Fat Spoiler Chat are every week. Tuesday for us, Thursday for Full Fat Spoiler Chat on Twitch as well as on YouTube and on Facebook Live. So if you got that Twitch, go over there and subscribe to us, please. Hopefully we'll see a whole bunch of you there, and we'll have a lot of comments. It's going to be a good, fun show with all sorts of opinions about all kinds of stuff. Not just about a character named Boner. Well, I guess that's not really a spoiler. It's kind of a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler. I didn't say who or what. Anyway, so we'll see you then. And if you would, please,
Byron D0 signing off.
And Rodney Brown for Nerd Caliber telling you to please stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, keep social distance. You've seen the advisory from the CDC. Once you're 2 weeks past your last shot, whether it's a one-shot Johnson & Johnson or a two-shot of the others, you can get together with other people indoors without masks who are also 2 weeks past their last shot. Otherwise, continue to use the protocols the CDC recommends, no matter what states like Texas, who frankly we already know want to kill their own citizens anyway, decide to do. Grumpy me is done. Anyway, thank you, folks. Awesome chats. We'll see you next week